This is the third program continuing the 1979 mapping of the Gainesville step tandem. In the last program, we finished out the sevens. Interestingly, we have not heard a single Bell system tributary yet. They've all been independent. And then there are the three Gainesville codes, 532, 534, 536. We found those. Come to think of it, the Gainesville sector is mostly independent, even though Gainesville itself is Bell. So before we get to the eights, let's finish out the ones. Selector 10, which normally has the test board and a bunch of test lines on it, is not finished. I'll call Flowery Branch, whistle it off, and call 101. Maybe the guy at the toll board knows something about the code conversion for Big Canoe 579. Remember, we found that was on 70 instead of 79. Let's see if he knows about that.
We're sorry, you have reached the...
I started to call 101, but there was an operator key set going on in the background, so I decided to just stop that and listen. And as luck would have it, she stopped. Seems every time I start dialing, an operator starts dialing. Okay, I'll go on.
Toll board, Gainesville.
Yeah, hey, this is Atlanta. How am I supposed to complete to the 579 code through your tandem? I'm getting 379.
579.
Yeah.
Big Canoe.
Is there a code conversion on that?
Let's see what I can do on it. 579. It's Big Canoe. Well, there ain't nobody in the switch room, and I don't know nothing about that.
Do you know how it's set up in the switching train?
No, I don't.
Do you have any way to pick up a selector as I would? You know, picking up a trunk to your tandem from here and try
Yeah, I
dialing it?
can go through the Atlanta circuit and see if I can get Big Canoe. Let's see what I can do. What number can I call it there? 22222. 579 1234.
He's trying it on the Atlanta tandem, which will complete because the Atlanta tandem code converts.
Is that what you get when you dial it?
Nope, haven't gotten that yet. Now, do you have any way to pick up one of your own circuits, or can you only pick up outgoing? I mean, do you have any way of picking up an incoming switching train?
Incoming.
Yeah, you know, pick up. You see, you had to dial that through Atlanta, right?
Right.
Is there any way you can dial it directly into Gainesville?
Yeah. Have to go a long distance to it. Let's try it.
Okay.
5, 7, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hoo boy, that's the ANIB sound. This is like dialing it on a Gainesville phone, which will also work.
Hey now.
Okay, well, I'll check it out from here.
Okay.
Thank
All right, I can't help you. That's all I know to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, see you. Gainesville.
Ah, so it does re-ring the toll board if you ring forward when he's hung up. So what he did first was try it on the Atlanta tandem, which works because the Atlanta tandem knows the code conversion. Then he tried it on a Gainesville step switching train, which went through the CAMA system, just like dialing a long-distance call, and the CAMA system also knows the code conversion. That doesn't mean I can pick up the Gainesville tandem and dial 579 and get 579. Okay, I give up. Nobody's in the switch room. Let's dial 102, which usually is a milliwatt test line. This time I'll let the Flowery Branch recording play a little bit.
We're sorry you have reached the number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. We're sorry you have reached the number that is disconnected or is no...
Had to tune up there. Okay, 102. "102 didn't work, but 103 just did. And the tape ran out. On selector 10, what we have so far is 101 going to the test board, 102 is a reorder, 103 is the usual 103 test. Now on the other side of the tape, I'll call Flowery Branch and try 104. Yikes, that's loud. 104 is a broken 104 test. It begins with this tone, but it's not supposed to go on and on like that. "105 is a 105 test, working this time. Now let's try 106. Yeah, let me explain what happened. The broken 104 test went off hook, but I didn't know it. The tone was so loud I couldn't hear any other details. So when I whistled off of the 104 test, I tried 105, which went off hook within 10 seconds, so my ESS didn't time me out. At that point, I was charged for the call, but I didn't know it. The 105 test was off hook for less than 2 seconds because I got right off it, but what I didn't realize was that I'd already been charged, and that meant that 10 seconds after the 105 went on hook, that is 10 seconds after I left it, right. So let's call back and try 106. I'm actually not sure what this is, but it certainly is something that's broken. Not only broken, but annoying. Very hard to get off of. On 106, just write "?broken. That's the best I can do. Now 107 through 109.
Sorry. In error. Sorry.
107 through 109 are vacant. Let's try 100, which is supposed to be a balance test. It should go off hook and be silent. All right, we finished the ones. It was like pulling hen's teeth, but now we've got it. You know, that reminds me, Gainesville, Georgia is a major poultry-producing town, so much so that this was their time number in 1975.
Your account is now insured to $40,000 at First Federal Savings. 1047.
Anyway, Selector 10 had the test board on 1, reorder on 2 and 0. It had the 103 test on 3, the 105 test on 5, a broken 104 test on 4, and on 6 was God knows what, but definitely broken. And then everything else was a vacant level. Okay, now let's dial 8. No change. Let's dial 1. That was the Gainesville vacant level recording, of course, and that means that on the first selector, 8 goes to selector 8. If it were absorbed, the 1 would not have gone to that recording. So in the table for the first selector, under 8, write S8. Then take the next unused table on the page and write S8 at the top, and 1 there is VL for vacant level. We're going to find a whole new bunch of tributaries on selector 8 now. But first I'll redial. By the way, the Flowery Branch recording has some ID that begins with 9, but it cuts off. It used to be 404FB.
We're sorry you have reached the number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. We're sorry you have...
That was 8-2. No change. Let's try another 2.
In error. Please check the number or try your call again. 3X. Sorry, you have...
Getting the vacant level recording on 822, the most likely scenario is that 2 is absorbed once, and then it's a vacant level. But I don't prove it yet. Let's go on to 83.
Reached a number that has...
On selector 8, 3 is a vacant level. Let's try 84. We've definitely gone into a tributary. I'll try 00 for a vacant level recording. Now that sounded like another one of those broken links where the incoming switching train resets. I'll try 9299. St. Thomas ring. This is probably Dahlonega 864. I've been there. Notice I've gotten back to that same tributary dialing 824. At this point on selector 8 level 2, go ahead and write A, comma, VL. I think it's safe to do that, and I'll let you know if I was wrong. That was 00, which again just reset. Meanwhile, on my other line, I'm calling 1-864-9299. The idea is to make that number busy so that we can get the Dahlonega busy signal here. All right, here's 9299. The native St. Thomas type busy signal, which, by the way, St. Thomas itself didn't have because there they replaced it. But there's a real one here, and it really is a unique tone. There is no other type of busy signal that's quite like that. A combination of beauty and distortion. In any case, I've just proven, although you didn't hear it, that on selector 8, 4 is 864, Dahlonega. If that weren't true, I wouldn't have been able to make that number busy as I just did by calling an 864 number from my other line. Let's now dial 84 and then 1.
We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 404-864.
Okay, let's try 85. Now 1.
Operator 310, may I have the number you're calling, please? Operator 310, may I help you? Hello?
Okay, 85 is one of the tributaries. Now with 864 ending up on the 4 level of the 8 selector, this, the 5 level of the 8 selector, pretty much has to be where 865 goes. So this is 865, Cleveland. You just don't have to dial the 6. Now you might have noticed a little ringtone right as the operator was answering.
Operator 310, may I have the number you're calling, please?
That ringtone was used back when intercept here was handled by the Gainesville chordboard. It would sound just when the operator answered and tell her that this was an intercept call. She needed to know that because the calls were coming in on the same trunks as people dialing 0 from Cleveland. Now intercept is handled by Macon AIS, but they've kept the special ringtone to tell the operator it's an intercept call on the trunk. It's not needed anymore, but it still plays. Now I listened ahead, and in this call I'm going to dial 85 plus 1. You'll hear 3 ringtones in quick succession. The first one is a St. Thomas type ring. That's the Cleveland office putting ringtone on the intercept trunk. The second one is that buzzy ring. That's to tell the operator that it's an intercept call, but now that it's going to AIS, that's not necessary. This will be followed by a third ringtone from the AIS itself in Macon. So get ready, we're going to hear 3 rings in a row. The number I'm going to give the operator makes no sense. We're really calling 865, and then she gets the number I said wrong anyway. Here comes the 3-ring circus.
Number you're dialing, please?
864-2368.
2368?
Yes.
One moment.
Eight 3-4-2-3-6-8 is a working number. Will you dial it again, please? 8-3-4-2-3-6-8 is a working number. Will you dial it again, please? If you need assistance,
You may stay on the line, and an operator will answer.
Those three phrases are probably my favorites of the Joanne AIS.
If you need assistance, you may stay on the line, and an operator will answer.
Okay, let's call a ringing number in Cleveland. As you've heard, Cleveland also has St. Thomas type ring. And as is the case with so many St. Thomas type ringing machines, the low tone has been replaced with something from another machine. Those things must have broken down very easily, because you see this a lot. Even St. Thomas replaced the busy signal and reorder with something else. Here's the reorder from Cleveland, Georgia. Sounds vaguely Strombergish. Anyway, let's go on to the office on level 6 of Selector 8. We'll reach it by dialing 866. Then I'll dial a thousands digit that goes to reorder. The reorder in this office sounds similar to Cleveland, but it's different. Same pitch, different timbre. Here's 866 followed by the digit 1, which fortunately for us goes to vacant level intercept.
We're sorry, but we have a problem and completing your call is dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 404-896.
Okay, now we know what's on the 6th level of Selector 8. On Selector 8, under 6, write A, comma, 896, Hiawassee. You can see that dialing 864, you would go to Dahlonega, 865 would go to Cleveland, and dialing 866, you would get Hiawassee. It's going to turn out that 9 on Selector 8 is wired A, of course. And now here's a Hiawassee ringing number, this time dialed as 896 plus 4 digits. I've just dialed 87, and thanks to our Atlanta-Gainesville trunk being pretty noisy, I can't tell if we've gone anywhere. Here's a 1.
We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 404-878.
On Selector 8, under 7, write 878, Helen. Apparently, Helen absorbs the digit 8 of its own office code. Here I'm going to dial 87880. All right, here's 88. How about that? That's busy circuits for real. Okay, now 88 has to go to Cumming. That's a crossbar 5 office. It has 887 and 889, and when we go into the trunk, it should flash. Interestingly, when the trunks were busy, there was a flash given before the Gainesville reorder. Now, I wasn't aware that there was a reason for doing this, and maybe there isn't, but what would happen in practice is that even when the trunks were busy, whatever tandem's dialing into Gainesville would still get a flash after the 88. Maybe there are some tandems that are expecting that flash, and that's why they do this. You can even hear the selector starting to slide over to the 11th terminal. It goes off hook, starts the slide, and then it goes on hook, then it arrives at the reorder. Ha! The trunk reset, but it didn't flash me as it's supposed to. You know, steps, Bell system steps at least, have this thing they do that when you've slid over to the 11th terminal and you're listening to the reorder, and you do a flash, very often the selector that gave you the reorder will reset without you going all the way back. So chances are we are now sitting on selector 8, and all I have to do is dial 8 once, and we'll either go into Cumming or get that reorder tone again. Let's see. Yes, that was the situation. And did you notice the dialing that we were starting to hear over the top of the reorder that last time? Apparently there are a lot of people hitting this reorder trying to call Cumming. So let's dial 88 again, get the reorder, and just listen and see if we can hear the activity of dialing coming in, and maybe we'll even hear people talking to folks in the background. The reorder tone actually gets softer when someone comes in, louder when they hang up. There, it went to full volume again. 30 seconds later, it got really busy. I'll skip ahead. Dang, that was a lot of people getting busy circuits, and we could hear it all because the last 5 digits get dialed out over the reorder tone, and as it turns out, people talk too. Let's try it again. Well, we got into the crossbar 5 incoming. Now it has 887 and 889. Let's try 1 plus 4 digits.
We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call is down. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording, 88XQ. We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call is down. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording, 88XQ. We're sorry.
Well, I just learned something about Southern Bell's management policies. That recording tells me that the Cumming Central Office is administered out of Gainesville. How do I know? Because only in the Gainesville circle do you hear ridiculous made-up IDs like 88XQ. Yeah, right. So now we know Cumming is administered out of Gainesville. I had no idea. The Cumming circuits are still busy, so let's move on to 8-9. We'll get back to 8-8 in the next segment. Heard some metallic noises there, but we haven't gone anywhere. We have to be sitting on selector 8. 9 has to be an absorbed once digit, so that calls to Hiawassee 896 will go through properly. Hiawassee's on the 6 level. On the 9 level is another office, which if you look at the switching train and the codes, has to be 869, Lula. This is one of the local calls from Gainesville. It's a Bell CDO, and back in 1975, its recording said 869B. What do you think it is now? Could it be 869Q? Let's find out. I dialed another 9. We have to be on the Lula incoming right now, and I just heard a subtle sound telling me that the trunks from Gainesville to Lula are N3 family. I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute, but first...
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. 869BB. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. 869BB. We're sorry.
869BB. Okay, why not? Anyway, on selector 8, under 9, write A, comma, 869 Lula. Now I'm going to call back into Lula, this time dialing 829. Doesn't make any difference. I'm going to turn up the volume, though, so that when I dial the 9, you can clearly hear what I heard last time. First, when I dial the 8, notice how there's a tick shortly after my last beep, like this. Tick. This is something that most N3 family carrier trunks do, and our trunks from Atlanta to Gainesville are of that type. You'll hear the same thing on the 2. Tick. There it is again. N3 trunks do this at the end of digits and also when you first seize them. The trunks to Lula are typical N3 with the tick. And so in this case, when I dial 9 and go into Lula, you hear that tick twice. The first one is our Atlanta-Gainesville trunk. The second one is the Gainesville-Lula trunk. I'll turn it up again just for this. Tick, tick. For some reason, these Lula trunks delay. when they give the tick. I think normally the ticks after the digit would be close to simultaneous on the both trunks, so you wouldn't hear that. But for some reason, on these Lula trunks, we do hear it. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that. And by the way, there was a discernible change in trunk noise when we got in. It's hard to hear because our trunk from Atlanta to Gainesville is pretty noisy to begin with. Now a ringing number. Come to think of it, this Gainesville trunk is noisier than most, and we've been on it a long time. So I'm going to ditch it in a minute and then call back. Now let's try to get into Cumming one more time. We got in. Noisy trunk and or incoming register here. While we're at it, let's drop the switch room a trouble card. I'll just do it once. I'll dial 7, which is a valid steering digit, but then of the 4 digits that follow, one of them will have 11 pulses. The long pause between the last digit and the reorder coming on was the time in which I believe it dropped 2 trouble cards. You know, the trouble cards have cryptic codes on them. They are long tickets, and there are numbers and letters on the card that are punched by the machine. I have one here that I got at one of my CO tours. It uses a lot of 2 out of 5 code, so you have 0, 1, 2, 4, and 7, and then it'll punch 2 out of the 5 to indicate a number. When you give it a digit of 11 pulses, that produces a digit that has the 7 punched, but nothing else. And that indicates that the register only operated 1 out of 5 relays for that digit, and that's why it considered it a trouble. I don't recall the trouble condition that produced this card, but I can sort of read it. It's 2 out of 5 code for some of these punches, and then the others have these 2-letter codes that are punched that I actually don't know what are, but reading across from the top, it's 5, 3, and then there's XF punched, 8, 8, XQ, I don't know what that is, and then there's 8, 6, 9, BB.
53X,
88X,
869 BB.
Just kidding about that last part, obviously. Let's dial 80.
or try your call again.
Okay, at this point I hung up, and let's look over Selector 8's wiring. 1 is a vacant level, 2 is absorbed once, that's A, VL, 3 was vacant, 4 goes right into 864 Dahlonega, 5 goes right into 865 Cleveland, 6 is absorbed once, and on that level we have 896 Hiawassee. 7 goes right into Helen, which is the only tributary we've seen that actually absorbs the final digit of its office code. Cumming is on 88, which is a 5-digit trunk anyway because they have 2 office codes. 9 is A, 869 Lula, and 0 is a vacant level. You know what doesn't make sense about Selector 8? 2. There is no office code that has a 2 in it. So there was no reason for 2 to absorb once. I wonder if there's some obscure history that's the reason for that. I can tell you that the 2 codes they lost, Buford 945 and Tallulah Falls 965, wouldn't be a reason for that. So I don't know why 2 absorbs once. Maybe there's a history we don't know about. What happened to Buford, by the way, is that it decided to become part of the greater Atlanta local calling area. Flowery Branch, which is right beyond Buford, had the choice and chose not to, so it remained part of Gainesville's circle. As for what happened to Tallulah Falls, the Cornelia recording informed us of that.
All Tallulah Falls prefix 965 numbers have been changed to Clarksville prefix 754.
So let's stop for now. In the next program, I'll make a fresh call and we'll finish up the entire map.